Hi everybody and welcome back to the Coderoom. Alright, so in previous episodes we introduced you guys to CSS, what CSS code looks like, and we showed you a way to incorporate that CSS in line with your HTML. Alright, now that is not a very common way to do CSS in basic websites, okay? There's actually other ways to do it, alright? And we're going to explore another way today using what's called the style tag. Okay, so let me show you how that works. Alright, so here's the document that we're working on, and we had some HTML inline styling in here, okay? So we incorporate the CSS into the style attribute of the H1 tags, the paragraph tags, and so on and so forth. Now, one thing that's not really great about this is the code kind of gets mangled up because we have the HTML code mingling with the CSS code. And so we're mixing structure code and styling code, and it's getting all kind of tangled together. And sometimes you want to separate that out, okay? Because when you're focusing on structure, you want to just focus on structure. When you're focusing on styling, you want to focus on styling. So we kind of want to separate those two things. And in fact, there's a lot of companies out there who hire one person to do the structure and one person to do the styling, all right? So this is a very common thing that happens, all right? So how do we separate those, okay? So let's use the header as an example. So in the header here, we have the style color blue, font family, font size 30 points. And we have them attached to every one of the headers here, okay? So I want to actually get rid of that and move it to a different part of the document, okay? So to start off, let's just clear out those H1s, okay? So all these style tags for the H1, let's get rid of them for now, okay? So let's get rid of them, go back to what we had before. So just get rid of that. Every one of these H1s, we'll just get rid of that text, okay? Get rid of there for links. For my favorite foods, steps to flying a drone. Okay. All right, so the H1s look a lot cleaner now. They don't have style code mixed in with it, okay? But obviously we still want to style it, so how do we do that? So we're going to introduce you to a brand new tag called the style tag, okay? So we looked at the style attribute last time that you would put on tags, but today we're looking at the style tag, okay? And most commonly, this is put inside the head of the document, okay? So up in the head here, up at the top here, we put in the title there, we're also now gonna put a new tag called style, okay? So open tag style and close that tag style, okay? There we go. Now, style tag, what's interesting is you can put CSS code inside the style tag, okay? Just like you can put CSS code inside the style attributes value. Okay, so let's think about the header properties that we wanted. We wanted the color to be blue. All right, and we wanted the font family to be Arial, and we wanted the font size to be 30 points. Okay, now because we're in the style tag here and we're not in line and we're not dealing with a white space dependent language, we can actually put these on separate lines to make it a little bit more readable. Okay, so color blue, font family, Arial, font size 30 points, okay? Now, the problem here is that if we save this, we haven't indicated anywhere what these properties apply to, right? We just put the properties there. I mean, when it was in line, it was obvious because it applied to the tag that we were coding it on. But now that we separated it out of here, what do these properties actually apply to in the document, right? I mean, what do we want to make blue? What do we want to make font family Arial, okay? And this is where we introduce you to CSS selectors and a whole new structure of CSS, okay? That's different from inline, all right? So if you recall, we talked about CSS code looking like color, blue, property, value, and so on and so forth, right? Now, we're going to introduce you to the other part of CSS called CSS selectors, and it looks like this. Okay, so what you end up doing is you put your properties and values inside two curly braces, okay, that's preceded by what we call a CSS selector, okay? Now, just a heads up, CSS selectors can get very, very complicated and very complex, okay? And we will get into those as we dive into it. But as it stands right now, what you can see a selector as is selecting a certain HTML tag, okay? So do you want to select the H1s? Do you want to select the paragraphs? Do you want to select the links? Okay, those kind of things. All right, so concretely, how does that look? It looks like this. So let's say we want to apply the color blue, font family Arial, font size 30 points to all the H1 headers, okay? So what we do is we put them in curly braces and we put the name of the tag that we want to apply it to, in this case, H1, okay? So let's do that. All right, so in the style tag, we put H1, curly brace and close curly brace, and inside that, we're going to copy and paste all this code in here. Okay, color blue, font family Arial, font size 30 points. Okay, now the HTML document knows what to do. It says, okay, all the H1s apply these properties. Okay, so let's try that out and see if it worked. So save the document, go back to your browser, refresh, and you'll see all our headers are exactly the same now. We've kept all those properties. And just to make sure it worked, let's change the color and see what happens, okay? So go back to our document and change the color to red and save it. Refresh, and there you go, okay? Now you can already see the benefits of doing this. So one, it cleans up your HTML code, so your HTML code doesn't have styling code in there. And secondly, it makes you not have to repeat your code, right? This applies to every H1 that's on this page, okay? Every H1 that's on this page, it's going to apply to those, so you don't have to copy and paste all those properties into every single H1, okay? Now, one question you might have is, well, what if I want one specific H1 to appear differently? Well, we'll get into that in the future, okay? So let's just continue with this thought and separating our CSS code from the inline styles up into that style tag, okay? So we have our H1 selector here, selecting the color red, font family Arial, font size 30 points. How do we add another selector and another set of properties, okay? Well, it's pretty simple. We just put it on a new line. Okay, so here we have our H1 selector, all right, with all its properties, and here we have the paragraph tag and all of its properties, okay? So let's do the same thing for the paragraph tag. All right, so we'll select all the paragraphs, and we'll keep the same properties that we had here, okay? So we'll make the color gray, and we'll make the font family Arial. All right, close it with semicolon. And so with that in there, we can actually get rid of all these style tags on the, style attributes, I should say, on these paragraph tags. Okay, so save that, go back to the browser, refresh, and we haven't lost any of our styling, okay? Again, just to make sure it's actually working, why don't we increase the font size a little bit? So font size 25, refresh, and there you go. Okay, that's quite big. I'm just going to go back to maybe 14 points. There we go. That's a bit more reasonable. All right, so we successfully moved the H1 and the P styles up into the style tag. Let's do the last one, which is the links, okay? So we are targeting the anchor tag. Okay, so we're going to use our selector for A for anchor. Okay, and the color we made it was green. So we'll do color, green, all right? And then with that up there, we can now remove these in here. All right, save that. Go back to your web page, refresh it, and you'll see our links are still green. Okay? Now, one thing that you will have noticed is that our links actually changed to Arial and 14 size font. And again, we will get into that in more detail in future videos. But for now, this is how you select certain tags in your HTML document and apply styles to them, okay? Let's do one more and extend this a little bit. Okay, so these are list items. Okay, so let's change the list items color as well, okay? So our list item, remember it uses the li tag, so li, all right? So do li, and why don't we make those color, let's say yellow. Save that, refresh, and you see they're all yellow. Now that's a pretty hideous color. Why don't we say orange instead? All right, there we go. At least we can read it now. All right, so that's a second way you can put CSS into your HTML document. You put a style tag at the top, then you put your CSS code in there. But remember, if you do it this way, your CSS code has to use selectors to tell the document which HTML tags you're targeting for these styles. All right, that's it. We'll see you guys in the next one.